2, 1. This is how Mel feels about our next album, Silver Bleeds the Black Sun, AFI, which, funny enough, is if you listen to AFI, that was kind of a sound that we might have heard from them at certain points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh! Sorry. Oh, man.
Before we dive into it, though, how are you guys doing? What's new?
Doing amazing. As I've said in the previous 2 episodes, I'm at the Tipsy Tune crib, the Mel crib right now, so I'm in a whole different place, and apparently sound way better. You can hear my dulcet tones. Far more crisp, far more clear. Really what the audience is here for. So I'm feeling good about all that.
You do have the best voice out of the group. Hands down. It's very soothing.
Brandito's got a good voice.
And I'm good. I was mid crash out, but I'm actually fine.
Yeah, that's why I started recording.
Yeah, it was
that's why
perfect.
I pressed play. I'm like, there's only one thing that's going to stop this crash out right now, and it's going to be
It's our job. Yeah.
So here we are. Today's album, we're going to be covering AFI, Silver Bleeds the Black Sun. For those of you who don't know who AFI is, don't worry. Even if you did, you might not know them anymore. AFI is short for A Fire Inside. Super cool. They're an American emo punk band from Ukiah, California, that formed in 1991. So just keep that in mind. 1991, consisting of Davey Havoc on vocals, Adam Carson on drums, keyboardist Hunter Bergen, and guitarist Jade Puget. They started off as a hardcore punk band, actually, funny enough, but have really stumbled around the genre doing post-hardcore, alt-rock, goth rock, and, in my opinion, notably emo rock, but let's be real, I guess maybe I only knew their most commercial versions of them.
I feel
Funny
like
enough,
they only had like 2 emo albums, but they just made a loud enough splash about it.
That's kind of true. It's
They were great albums.
Funny enough, the band was formed in 1991 when Havoc and previous members Stoffelies and Shocker came together. None of them knew how to play any instruments when they had started off. But they kind of learned as they went, and then they added drummer Adam Carson. They released their first EP, Dork, in 1993, and then took a break while the members went to various colleges. Between 1993 and 1995, they dropped a bunch of EPs, as well as some compilation EPs before stopping their debut in 1995. Answer That and Stay Fashionable, which was co-produced by a few members from Rancid, super cool hardcore punk band, which I love a lot. They then signed on with The Offspring's Dexter Holland and Greg Kay's label Nitro Records in 96, where they dropped their sophomore album, Very Proud of Ya. They dropped more in 97 and 98, where they actually kind of like owned the name AFI and began tapping into kind of more of a death rock territory. They finally started to go into their more dark era when they dropped 1999's Black Sails in the Sunset. They dropped The Art of Drowning in 2000, which debuted at 174 on the Billboard Top 200 and 9 on the Heatseekers chart. And then finally they moved from Nitro Records to DreamWorks, where they launched their commercial breakout album, I should say, Sing the Sorrow in 2003, which opened in the Billboard Top 10 and won the VMA for their hit song Girls Not Grey. And then in 2006, their most commercially successful album, December Underground, with #1 hit Miss Murder, which also led to their DVD concert release. Released as a live album, which also charted, which is not an easy thing to do as a live album, especially, like, this is well past early MTV days. Like, this was, like, 2007 or something like that. Like, people had been watching music on TV for a while. Over the next more than a decade, they've dropped a few more albums, less commercial success outside of its circle, but as the industry kind of proceeded to be a little bit less rock and roll, they kind of have also done the same and kind of like moved into more of kind of a new wave synth pop goth rock kind of style, which it was something that was completely amiss to me. I'm sure the AFI lovers out there are screaming at me being like, how'd you not know this happened? Well, this is why I know we're not the only ones, so this is why we do this, so we can tell people, by the way, AFI is actually goth rock new wave, not emo screaming band that we thought,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool in its own way. Their last album, Bodies, dropped in 2021. They've been really well known for their ability to adjust the world kind of around them, as starting off as hardcore punk, progressing into horror punk, eventually into alt emo, to almost pop rock and new wave, like I've mentioned, in the more recent years. Silver Bleeds the Black Sun is their 12th studio album, which maintains their goth rock post-punk feelings, which after 34 years is pretty impressive to maintain the quality and sound that they've. I was going to say that they've been known for, but I obviously write these descriptions beforehand. This isn't necessarily the sound they've been known for, but one of the sounds that they've been able to kind of make one of their own. So, yeah. Before we jump into the track by track, though, Bob and Mel, what were your thoughts jumping into a new AFI album?
Yeah, Sing the Sorrow was like the soundtrack to my early college years. Had that CD on repeat in my car for years. December Underground, same thing. So come in knowing who AFI was, but just like you, thinking I knew who they were, Brandito. But they've clearly evolved. All I have to say about this album, to start off, is whoa.
Thanks for that, Bob. Over to you, Mel.
For me, I didn't realize AFI kept releasing so much music afterwards. I only know them from their emo albums. So I came in not necessarily expecting exactly that, because I figured there'd be some evolution, but like we got like a complete 180. But it was so fun. It was very unique. I liked it.
100%. Well, let's dive right into it. It opens up with track The Bird of Prey. Let's go ahead and give this a listen.
Time unfurls the curtain. Time divides my face. A drop of poison at a time. A drop of poison crystalline. Call it wine. Call it wine.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Recognizable, right? Davey Havok's got that recognizable, and he's used kind of this deeper, more gothic voice in previous albums, but only like at certain points in certain songs. Whereas here, he's completely in. That's all he's doing.
Yeah.
The music itself, it's almost got kind of a Western feel to me. I don't know how else to describe it.
Said
I
the
feel like
same thing.
I'm in a desert, or I'm in I'm not riding a horse.
The whistle too. It's just like,
I'm Arthur Morgan up in here. But yeah, it's a cool start. I like it. I just wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, I also put that it was giving like Western Gothic for me. Like the drums were kind of like almost like hooves, horse. I couldn't think of the word horse. Horse. But I liked that it set the pacing, so it felt like very rushed. The vocals were monotonous for me, but I thought the instrumentals were doing a lot to make up for that. And then thematically, I really liked what he was doing lyrically and thematically. Like time unwinds the serpent, so I was like, okay, so there's like a duality to a snake, and I wasn't sure if he was gonna go like evil with the album or like healing with the album, like good or evil. So I was excited to see which lane he was gonna pick, and like, considering it's a gothic vibe, I figured we were going good, like, the evil, destructive side, but fun, cool start.
Destructive. Goth isn't destructive though, and I think
Well,
that's like
not destructive, but
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's like that's something that's kind of important. Like, there's a big difference between emo and goth, because I call this
Yeah.
goth over and over again.
Oh,
There's
this is-
no way I call this emo.
No, this
No,
is goth, 100%.
This is
yeah.
all the way goth.
Yeah.
Obviously, a really cinematic opening with the strumming, and obviously that deep, intense drum line on it that you guys talked about that kind of gave it a little bit of a Western kind of feel to it. This is obviously very different from the AFI of my youth. It's giving so much like The Cure and New Order and like just this new wave goth rock, which was crazy. Not necessarily it definitely isn't what I expected. It's just so far detached from their biggest, most popular stuff that I thought, I mean, at the end of the day, again, there's probably an AFI fan being like, "You're an idiot, like that was their worst two albums." And like maybe you're right. I have no idea.
I haven't listened to anything else.
Didn't know what I was walking into with this. And so, like, I genuinely wrote, I'm like, I don't think we're going to get the emo punk that I signed up for. I don't think I'm upset about that, though. I thought this was a really, really cool album. It's going to sit, like, in that same new wave space, I feel, for this whole album. And honestly, in 2025, a new wave album is
kind of unique,
exciting to me.
Yeah.
It's different.
Actually, it's like, I'm
really
pumped about it. Especially, like, when we had all of this like post-rock, this new wave kind of revitalism that came with like Kate Bush charted again, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm excited about the idea of hearing this more goth rock kind of stuff come back. It turns out AFI has been doing it for a decade and a half, and I had no idea. You know what I mean? So pretty pumped about that. But
I did read somewhere, I don't know if they switched like their agent or something, but they switched because their previous agent or label or whatever wasn't marketing them properly. So this has been the best marketing they've had in a while for a launch. So that's probably why we had no fucking clue they were making music.
Yeah, maybe.
Could have had a big chunk to it too. Like, honestly, I know Stoffeli's left. I think he had a little bit of a tough time because this is what Davey wanted to do for a long time, which had a lot to do with
him leaving.
Well, why wouldn't we do Miss Murder times 2? That's how we got paid. And Davey is just kind of like, well, that's not really what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't like doing that.
Honestly.
You go out there and scream Miss Murder over and over again on stage. Like, no, like, I don't really like doing that, which is also completely fair.
Yeah. And it was... He's probably just over it. That was 2 decades ago. Like, you gotta move on. You gotta evolve.
Mel and I were both emo kids in our emo days.
Yeah.
Our hair isn't dyed black. I don't have eyeliner on. I'm not wearing fingerless gloves that come down to here to hide the scars. You know what I mean? Like, it's like people grow up and... Maybe
I still
AFI
love my emo music, but
we still have it here. But like,
there's a way I have to present myself to the world now, though, and
I feel like you still wouldn't just dye your hair black, throw on eyeliner, and throw on fishnets. You know what I mean? Like you're still.
She would rock in that. She could pull that off, though.
I would do
if anyone
it.
could pull it off,
I
Mel
could
could.
do it.
Yeah. Let's just say, put that out there.
Let's just say that's behind us on the clock, which brings us to our next song. Behind the Clock. Hey, ooh, see, check that out. I'm here all review.
Brandito's like, stop bullshitting.
Play this one.
I am broken balance behind the clock. Susan Blue and Nikki Grace. A starless walk. A starless walk. Walk. Oh, green light lit the blue remake. No one will care. Will care to see. Gorilla kill up and reveal. He's inside you. He's inside me.
This one was sick.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites, like for sure.
This is my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my
It's
favorite.
intense. It's right out of the gate. It's a lot more aggressive. It's darker. Kind of a little bit more in that kind of horror rock that I know they were in, like kind of late 90s stage, which is kind of fun. again, with this new wave goth rock, like, it's crazy how far departed they are from the 2000s. But, like, knowing this is them in their golden years as a band also feels, like, refreshingly fitting.
Yeah.
You know, we had to listen to, like, Maroon 5. Or actually, we didn't have to. We ended up changing that. We ended up not listening to Maroon 5. But, like, listening to those guys, like, try to be the same thing that they were in their glory days and, like, hanging on to it, like, tooth and nail is, like, disappointing.
Yeah.
So to see guys who are just like, I'm going to go into something that's a little bit more our speed, how about? And keep doing our stuff as a band. It's like, yeah, good for
let's
you
do that.
guys.
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been successful. They've done it all, you know? Yeah.
I used to play football. I'm not going to go throw on the helmet and the shoulder pads and everything.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Right.
like, maybe
You're
I'll-
not going to
I'll-
risk your life.
No, like,
on
you
the
know what I mean?
field.
Like, maybe I'll play, like, a light game of like flag football,
Yeah,
you know, at this
yeah.
point. Like, let's
Right.
take her back a notch here,
Yeah,
everybody.
our
Like, we don't-
bones are brittle.
Yeah, like, I don't need to go out there and play full contact sports.
Yeah.
That just sounds like it's gonna hurt me.
Yeah.
So, like, they're perfectly doing that. It's not just a bunch of old dudes hanging on to the best days of their lives. They're like, cool, like, no, we're still gonna keep doing the best things for ourselves moving forward.
Yeah. And
You
it
gotta remember,
rocks.
Jethro Tull's still making music, and guess what? It still sounds like the same old Jethro Tull,
Yeah.
which nobody wants anymore. Jethro Tull.
Oh, I feel like, how does he not get bored of it?
People-
It's like, I don't know.
Because it pays them. And I get to that in my
fair.
conclusion,
Fair.
Yeah.
if I'm going to be honest.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is...
Oh, yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Bob.
I was gonna say I'm honestly getting full typo negative out of the song, and I'm a huge typo negative fan. Like, they are definitely full goth here. I feel like he's channeling the spirit of Peter Steele, like, throughout this
That's
song
cool.
especially, but through a lot of this album. That's all I hear is Peter Steele.
I like that.
Yeah, great song. I love the cadence of it. I love it. It's also like, it's like I said earlier. There's still AFI is still here. I still hear AFI in the way they play and the just the tempo and just the, I don't know, it's all still there. It's just a new skin,
Yeah,
like a
100%.
deep skin, but it's new skin. But yeah, go ahead, Mel.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it sounds like horror rock because this is totally like a tribute to David Lynch. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So he's like name dropping all the David Lynch film characters.
Yeah.
I love his growl, his vocals in here. It's like he's like flip flopping between howling and growling almost. And then I thought, like, I literally think this song is just him begging them to not ever remake any David Lynch movies, which I thought was funny. But yeah, I thought this one was sick.
Cool.
Not my
100%.
favorite, but it's in my top 3.
Let's it was in my top 3 for sure.
Yeah.
Let's get into some Holy Visions. Let's spin.
Holy Vision. Sorry.
Drops out of sight. It leaves me free to flutter reckless. On the ground, there is a girl burning brightly, calling me home. Holy visions on the side. Holy visions while the boy left hand on a cheek beats going up and down the road of
This one's a fucking bob.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. I've been saying Holy Visions all day in the house with Mel.
Yes.
But at some point, I just realized I've evolved it to Holy Dive.
Which is Jethro Tull. Fun
Yeah,
enough.
right. But yeah,
No,
just-
Dio. Sorry.
yeah,
Take
it's
it back.
Dio. Yeah. But this is a bop. I still like the previous track better, but this one, I think this one's sticking with me the most, and it's catchy for what it is. You know, it's good. I like this one.
This is a lot more 80s enthusiastic.
100%.
Like 100%. So obviously
100%.
you've got so much more synth going on and all of that kind of stuff. It's like, I'm here for it. It's artful, it's nouveau, it's gothic. It's something that we left in the 80s, but they weren't even doing it in the 80s. So like they just somehow grew into revitalizing this sound, which is crazy.
Somehow,
the
yeah.
guitar moments add really implicitly on this track. I at this point I'm still like feeling so unexpected about them. The guitar melodies are just crazy cool. They're unique. They own the song. They play perfectly into this post-rocky feel. You know, in a world where you have, like I mentioned, Kate Bush revivalism, like
Hell yeah, Stranger Things.
this is nailing that aesthetic. Them dropping this in October is also one of the winningest
Honestly.
plays.
Yeah,
Because this is exactly like this is what I would want to play at a Halloween party right now.
100%. Yeah,
Agree.
that's so cool.
Yeah, this one's my favorite. I love it so much. I love how 80s it is. I love the squealing and like twinkling guitar. I thought it was like contrasting the dark tones really well. I love a great guitar solo. And then I like this vibe that he's giving, like he's like fighting temptation here, but I also got the vibe that he was like mocking religion, which like I'm always down to do. Like my note is literally like, obviously a demon spirit, aka holy vision, is gonna drop dead in its tracks if someone's grasping onto rosary beads. Like, ooh, these cheap beads are so important. Is how I took it, but yeah,
Baby Havoc's just like, aw.
yeah.
Just takes the
Aw.
Him calling him cheap, I was like, I think he's making fun of it. But yeah, I thought this one was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Big fan.
Holy
Yeah, well-
visions.
What you just said was blasphemy and excess, so let's listen to that next.
14 seats, a hollow cross, spiritual needs, utter loss. Play on the floor, sleep on big screens, isn't it nice now? Play on the floor, sleep on big screens, isn't it nice? Isn't it? Here is blasphemy, and no excess, and here is excess. Here is blasphemy, and no fucking regrets. Here is blasphemy, here's to success, here's to success.
I'm going to throw a little bone to. There's going to be this subset of people that are like, "This isn't AFI. This sucks. This is some stupid stuff. This is yeah." I was again driving up to New Jersey listening to this. That was my second time listening to it on the way up here, and Trin had to put her headphones on because she couldn't stand the way Davey sounded in this album. She hated the goth voice. And this is the song that like did it for her. It's like, I can't handle this anymore. And she turned, put her headphones on because she just hates the new sound. I think it's great personally, but I was helping her out. Like, okay, it's okay, honey, it's all right. Just put your headphones on, and I'll continue listening to AFI. Like, it was torture for her. But as far as this song goes, fantastic song. I honestly, these three songs, the last two we listened to, this one, I think are my favorite part of the album. As we go on, good stuff.
Wait, actually, yeah, because this is my second favorite. So also we're in a stretch of me obsessing. Is that an acoustic guitar to start off the track?
Yeah.
Because I thought that was so cool. I wasn't expecting that. I like how we were like less gothic here, but his vocals are still doing such a good job like tying everything together. And then, yeah, I also just felt like we were still kind of like, making fun of a religion a little bit. Like, like it's good to be like moderately skeptical and like don't take people's words for gospel. Like, but yeah, I was a big fan of this one.
Yeah, no, it was good. A lot more of a hardcore guitar line. Honestly, this is kind of a low point for me.
Whoa.
Interesting.
Truthfully, yeah, it was not that big on this one. Yeah, it was fine. I don't know.
I like this one a lot. It's so radically different. I think that's maybe why. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, maybe my favorite part of the album is definitely not even has not hit yet. Like,
Ooh, okay,
so
okay.
it's yeah. No, there's a part of the album that I think is just significantly better.
I can't wait to hear.
So I'm excited to get there. But before we get there, we got Spear of Truth. Let's go ahead and give this a listen.
Truth is a
the drums on this are nuts. The drums on this whole album are actually like pretty nuts. You get a lot more industrial kind of noises going on here. Again, like kind of acoustic sounding guitar through this one, which is really nice. And the bells, like there's a lot going on here all over the place. It's slowed down a little bit for me. I think it's a perfect burn for an ordinary listener that maybe wants to like kind of feel the gothic side of rock without going all the way. This kind of felt like it kind of felt like a little bit more of an entry to goth rock, more so than it did everything else. The cadencing of the track, I think, was what really frustrated me more than anything. It's just a little bit less engaging. It just wasn't hitting the same as the rest of the album. But I also came in expecting punk, so
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still not bad. I'm not critiquing it. I'm not saying it sucks. It just wasn't quite doing it for me.
Yeah. I don't know why, but we go back to the first song. It sounded like Western type music. This kind of brought me to like almost Native American type of like music. I don't know how to explain that. It just did. That was in my mind. But I something about it didn't hit right with me either. I didn't like the cadence. I wrote down something about the cadence as well when I took a couple of notes on it the first time I listened. It's not my favorite.
Yeah, I thought we went back to that Western feeling too, kind of. I like the messaging in this one. Like felt very much saying like truth only hurts like the weak, like just don't be a coward, essentially, which I liked the messaging, but it was like this was a low point. It was kind of just a little slower. I did really like the line, "This world is sick and I'm unwell. This world is a stark, stark hell." I just put, "Yeah, bro, you're spitting facts."
Yeah, bro.
But yeah, that's all I got.
I'll say vocally too. I don't think vocally this is his best effort either. The voice he's using, the goth voice, didn't work as well on this track for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
This is where things get to like my highlight of the album. Ash Speck and a Green Eye. Let's go ahead and listen.
Yeah.
It makes you sad to think that Trin was in bed or was passed out for this part, or had her headphones in, because this is kind of like the right balance between the two, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like this is the right spot. Very new wave sound. I was digging on it like super hard. The guitars are crazy fun. The vocals are exactly what the vibe orders. I like the cadencing on this one a lot. Choruses are cool. I just want to dance with my hands in my pockets and move my shoulders. Like I just want to like kind of like do like
do some of these. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't want to move too fast because that's for losers. I just want to like sit up against the wall and smoke cigarettes. It just just gives me all of that vibe. Yeah. I was all the way there for it. It's quintessential goth rock in my opinion. For a new generation, this is going to be the best goth rock that you're going to get that isn't from the late 90s, you know? So like this is it. There's entire discographies in the 80s that you would absolutely love if you love this. So please go search those out because those artists are remarkable and don't get enough credit in, I think, today's music sphere. But
Yeah, I like that we picked the pacing back up. I needed it after the last one. I like that we kind of have an 80s vibe happening again. Yeah. I really liked his like very haunting vocals to start off the track. And then thematically now, because I already mentioned the duality of the snake that we had in the beginning. So Jean Duval was the French actress who is a partner of Charles Baudelaire, who wrote Fleurs de Mal, which is Flowers of Evil in French, which explores the duality of beauty and decadence in the human experience / good and evil. So I felt like he's still struggling with this like path. Like he doesn't know if he wants to be good or if he wants to be evil. But yeah, I liked it. I was a fan.
You guys said most of what I was thinking, honestly. This track was a highlight for me as well. I love the cadence, love the 80s sound to it. Yeah, his voice works perfectly for this song. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Dope. And then we get, I think, another banger with Voidward, I Bend Back.
This was the most AFI sounding song. Is that what I'd say? Quintessential.
Well, I was gonna say quintessential. I was gonna say quintessential new wave though too, because it is.
100%.
This is right down the alley in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just the way that the vocals come through, how clear they come through.
Yeah.
This was genuinely perfect to me. It was like these two songs back to back. I liked Aspect better. Voidward though was like if I needed to turn around and show somebody a song that was made this year that was new wave, I would just play this song. I'd be like, this is what new wave sounds like.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. This to me was the most AFI song on the album. Outside of the last track is very AFI too, but like when I say that, I mean of course the AFI we knew before we came into this.
Correct.
Album.
Which I think is funny because we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, fair. But I was all in. I enjoyed the song quite a bit.
Yes. Okay. So my notes are mostly on the lyrics.
That checks out.
So
You're saying some cool stuff.
Fun little fact that I don't. Maybe I'm just a lit nerd. I thought this was funny, but Voidward was first. The first time it was used as a term was by James Joyce. So I was like, that's a weird little tidbit. Maybe he really is a fan of James Joyce. Anyway, so lyrically, I like the one line, huh?
Probably.
Yeah, he probably is. But yeah, like I'm assuming it's a James Joyce nod, but okay, so lyrically I really like the line like a foreign film flickering with forked tongues. I don't know how he even managed to sing that first off, but I also like how the spoken lyrics are like barely audible and it was giving a very cool haunting vibe. Also I thought it was bringing back the snake reference from the beginning, and I'm getting this feeling that he's obviously bending towards the void, so I think he's picked his path. Also I think he's a D&D nerd because I googled what 9 Eyes of Sleep were because they say it so often, and the only thing that I could find is it was based maybe off of a Critical Role book, so it's like a D&D campaign about the villain Lucian, and he's visited in dreams by 9 ancient beings like at night who promise him power in exchange for them being freed. So I don't know if again we're still on this story, but like I could not figure out what 9 Eyes of Sleep were except for maybe they're just D&D nerds.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a lot of I went down rabbit holes on this album.
Sure did.
No doubt.
Cool.
Cool. Well, no more of a rabbit hole than you probably would have for Marguerite.
I also went down a little rabbit hole for this
Did
one.
you?
Yeah, I got Okay, yeah, I liked how gothic this one was. I loved how sped up we got again. I really liked the trading off on the vocals and the verses. And that distortion happening in the chorus was so grating and messy behind him, like bellowing Marguerite. I thought it added a really cool texture. And then Marguerite, I'm assuming, is just like our classic gothic heroine, probably a Faust reference where he makes a deal with the devil and ends up seducing this poor woman Marguerite, and she ends up just dying and going down like a slippery slope. So yeah, he's making so many cool little gothic like literary like references that I'm just finding all these little nuggets and having fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, you got the more manic vocals on this one. It was a huge, wicked change up. It's a really fun change of pace, while still maintaining everything that they've had success with so far in the album. It's just crazy to watch a band over all these years just go so far away from their commercially successful works and still have something that almost feels more artistic than commercial for commercial's sake. Like, honestly, this is where I was like, this is a respect piece at this point. Like, this is like me kind of tipping my hat over to them and just being like they made their money. Now they get to cement themselves as one of the most adaptive, transformational bands in the last 3 decades.
Yeah.
Because that's the honest truth. 1991 till now is more than 3 decades. 34 years they've been active, and we had no idea we were walking into. And if you listen to them in the 90s, you still wouldn't have a clue. You know?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. You can't listen to most bands that were big in the 90s and that haven't put out an album that's just them trying to recreate their own magic.
Yeah.
AFI absolutely breaks their own envelope and created this. And yeah, like at this point, I'm just kind of dumbfounded.
Same, yeah.
Yeah.
They did it for a whole album, and by all accounts, they're pretty successful at it, honestly.
100%.
Yeah.
Speaking, my world was unmade, thinking that I knew what AFI was. A World Unmade by AFI.
A bit slower of a tempo on this one. I for me, that hurts it a little bit. I didn't like the song as much as most of the album, but
Me too.
yeah, but it's fine.
I felt the
Still
same way.
not bad.
I put down the cadencing's doing the same thing that Spear of Truth did for me. So it's just not quite hitting as well. It's hard to knock it. Like, I'm not knocking it in any way, shape, or form.
Same.
I did it right. There's going to be some goth rock truthers that are going to tell us that we're idiots. Because my 2 least favorite albums are going to be a lot of people's 2 favorite albums on this album. Or 2 favorite tracks, sorry, I guess I should say. And I can respect that. That is what it is. Just this was another one of the lower points for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked what he was doing with his like vocals at points. He got really grumbly, which I really liked. Yeah, I like that we finally get like a nod to the sun, like with heliocentric flaw. Like we get a little tie to the album. And then I just feel like here's where he chose his path and it's led him to total chaos and like the undoing of the world. So I feel like story wise it's a build up, but I don't think it was reflected well, like sonically.
Agreed.
But it was fun.
Cool. And that takes us into No One Underground with no spaces. Might be an allusion to
December
their
Underground.
commercially most successful album, December Underground. Let's give it a spin.
There's that punk emo voice we're used to from Davey. There it is.
100%.
We found it at the end. Yeah, good ending track. It's got that fast tempo. We get some emo Davey back, which is cool, good to hear. Even though I enjoyed this album, it's still cool to hear that. Like, oh, he still has it. He just doesn't want to use it, which actually makes it better. That
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I like that it was a super like creepy opening and it built up with that gentle guitar strumming, and I expected a quicker pace right off the bat, but when it finally came in, it was just so chaotic that I really, really liked that. Yeah, the drums and guitar were just popping off, and then just like that, it just felt like, yeah, the chaos and everything was just gone. Like it was a cool ending for sure.
No, absolutely. Honestly, I like the fact that they called it No One Underground. It actually kind of feels like maybe they were doing this just to kind of take a shot at their old selves.
I think so.
A little bit,
Yeah.
which I think was kind of cool. Obviously a punkier beat. This is what I was expecting from the get-go, but like they still threw it in for their more punk heavy fan base. There's a lot of people that are going to be just like us and going to be like, oh. You know, when we first listened to it. So this gave us a really cool shot at like still getting a little bit of that. That's what we were looking for. Yeah, it feels like a bit of a throw-in just for the fans that weren't new waivers to begin with on the album, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, a little respect treat for them. Like, thanks for being here.
Throwing you a bone, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And honestly, I'm actually more likely to show up than I probably would have been based on this murder. So
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
This is so much up my alley. But that takes us to the end of the album. So why don't you guys tell us a little bit about your conclusions on everything?
Yeah. Man. Whoa. Obviously not what I was expecting, and for your hardcore, Sing the Sorrow fans, very disappointing. Which Trinity Blade was. But for myself, I came in expecting, I'm at the restaurant, I'm expecting a ribeye that I ordered, but instead I get a deep dish pepperoni pizza in front of me. I really like deep dish pepperoni pizza. It's just not what I was expecting. But you damn sure I'm going to eat the whole slice or the whole pie and enjoy it. So, I love, I'm a goth rock fan, always have been. Love The Cure, love Typo Negative. I already talked about the comparison to Peter Steele for me, and I heard it throughout the entire album. Fun little half-ass internet research thing. I was looking through Reddit for how other people thought about the album, because like, oh wow, this is crazy. Because I didn't realize they've been doing this for a while. What do other people think about this? And the one comment I took out just said that the album art cover looks like a half-shaved nipple, and now I can't unsee that.
I think I saw that
That's
same
really
Reddit
funny.
post because I also can't unsee it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
So now that's all I can see in the album art cover. I hope that changes that all for you as well. But overall, I thought a great album. I had a great time. It's probably I saw a lot of people saying it's their best album since Sing the Sorrow, honestly, and in its own way.
Cool.
And I like December Underground a lot. So I don't know if I agree, but yeah, great album. I gave this a 8.2 out of 10.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with you. I think that you ordered the deep dish pizza and you ended up with ribeye
With the
instead.
ribeye? Nice.
In my opinion, just to say, like, I think you got the better of the things instead.
I really like pizza though.
I'm dramatically impressed with AFI. They really did the sellout moment in 2006 with Miss Murder and have made the intention of being artists from there on out. It makes sense why on the popular level we never really saw them again. In that pop sphere, they own that moment, then set out to do something completely different and own a different sound. These types of decisions, like, honestly, they're rare amongst artists who have commercial success and then reprint their same thing over and over again because they know that it's a money draw. But it's not the art you want to produce. It always feels cheap and oversaturated. And this doesn't feel cheap or oversaturated. It felt genuine. It felt real. It felt like art. If I hadn't known this was AFI, I would have loved it and would never have guessed that it was them. And that, to me, is a sign of a band that's more focused on the art and their legacy than the money they can make by trying to just recash the same check over and over again. I thought this was a fantastic album, and I hold them in a really high regard because of it, honestly.
Yeah.
I gave this an 8.9.
Whoa. Nice. Okay.
Hell yeah.
I love that they took us through a full like gothic tragedy and they just kept us in that atmosphere the entire time. There were a couple lull points that felt like it kind of blended a little bit, but the album was like short and concise enough that it never felt like a chore getting through it, and the story kept me engaged. At least, like, I was so intrigued by all the little like references he was making that I was still just having a good time discovering like new things. As a whole, I think it's such a cool piece of art. There are a few tracks that I just don't think have replayability for me, though. And for that, I just give it an 8 even. Like, it couldn't bridge, like, that gap to, like, outstanding for me, just because I don't know how often I'd be in the mood to listen to it.
I fully agree there.
It's every time for me. I don't know if there's ever going to be a point in time that I couldn't listen to this album.
Yeah.
Nice. That's
but I listen to a lot
That's
more
awesome,
new wave
yeah.
than you guys do too, so that probably makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
but
you do. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, guys. Tell us, are we right? Are we wrong? I can guarantee you, there's a lot of AFIers that are going to be mad that you guys gave it what you guys gave it, because I think this is probably one of the best. Well, I mean, I was going to say this is one of the best new wave albums I've heard. Well, it's like one of the only ones that I've heard since like after 1993. You know what I mean? So like it's kind of a low bar on that side of things. But come let us know. Tell us in the comments. Were we right? Were we wrong? What were your takes? What were your thoughts? Make sure that you hit the subscribe button and come hang out with us again. But this was another On Beat Off Script record review. Silver Bleeds the Black Sun. There we go. By AFI. I'm Brandito. This is Bob and Mel. Thanks so much. We'll catch you next episode.
Oh!
Peace.
AFI does. Bye, guys.
3, 2, 1.